In the footage of the ascent stage going up, what you don't see is an exhaust plume coming out of the rocket engine nozzle.
What a ride, what a ride.
But what do we see? We see the ascent stage suddenly pop up without any exhaust plume whatsoever, as though it were jerked up by a cable.
I'd like to start off by saying that Bill Casing's claim was incorrect from the beginning. We do see evidence of fuels being used, but we'll get to that as this video goes on. Starting off, as you did, about the visibility of the propellants used by the lunar module and the command module, it is correct that the plume should be nearly invisible and almost completely gone in the footage filmed in a vacuum. Your Apollo 9 footage goes on to show a capsule, which I have decided is more than likely the command service module.
We know that Spider and Gumdrop undocked at 92 hours, 39 minutes, and 36 seconds into the flight. The two vehicles redocked at 99 hours, 2 minutes, and 26 seconds into the flight. During the time they were separated, Spider made 2 burns with its descent engine and 1 burn with its ascent engine. After the LEM was jettisoned, the remaining ascent propellants were burned up until depletion. This makes Spider the likely candidate and gives us 4 moments when this reel could have been shot.
Which I have decided is more than likely the command service module.
One of the 2 spacecrafts off in the far distance. First of all, I'm not sure which of the 2 craft it is. It could be Lunar Module Spider, but again, judging by its seemingly cylindrical appearance, it could very likely be Command Module Gumdrop. Let's watch the video. The Apollo 9 footage contradicts the explanation by Phil Plait and others, as we can clearly see a bright exhaust, not only at the ignition point, but continuing well beyond that.
You show this Apollo 9 footage with what appears to be a short burst of fuel and then a sudden drop while the engine continues to burn. Look carefully. As the command service module Gumdrop continues its burn, we see a bright light emanating from the engine bell. Because we are looking straight up into the combustion chamber, this glow is very light and prominent. It is widely agreed that looking directly into the engine will reveal the propellants burning. Continuing on, you show the lunar module taking off on Apollo 17 and claim that this small triangle cannot be the engine plume.
You can see a tiny white triangle. Apparently, they call this puny triangle an exhaust plume. Looks more like light reflecting off the ejected mylar foil covering to me.
This is exactly where I believe you're mistaken. The tiny white triangle is in fact the engine plume.
Good liftoff, automatic. Stable about 306. Hey, good smooth ride in. Roger, copy now. Stage, engine arm dash in. 99 Pro. Good liftoff, automatic. Stable about 306.
The command module, as seen on Apollo 9, showed a much brighter, bigger blue plume as it first fired its engines. I'm sure many would agree with me when I say that not only did the Apollo 9 CSM have a much bigger engine, its plume was not blocked by the descent engine of the lunar module.
And I've no doubt that NASA could throw in some pyrotechnic effects to spice things up a bit as well.
If NASA were using pyrotechnics, why would they not make sure it matched the Apollo 9 video? Surely, with a $40 billion budget, NASA would not have been so cheap as to use crummy and unrealistic pyrotechnics during the supposed faking of the biggest achievement mankind has ever accomplished, would they? Following on to your Titan rocket argument, there is a world of difference between firing a rocket engine on Earth than on the Moon, literally.
Because the same propellant mixture was used in the Titan rockets. Here's where they launch from Earth. Just like Apollo 9, their plume is prominent and glows brightly well after ignition.
We all know that the Moon is a near vacuum. You don't have to worry about atmospheric gases from the surrounding air igniting and causing an even bigger plume. Alchemite was the first to point this out. You're not seeing the engine exhaust itself, rather surrounding gases catching on fire. It's a lot like steam. Steam itself is completely invisible, yet we see the white vapors because of some other gases coming into play. If you were to boil water in a vacuum, you wouldn't see steam because steam on its own doesn't have an appearance. You go on to say that the lunar module ascent stage should not appear so dark if really fired on the Moon. My question is, what can you compare it to? Unless you were to try this yourself with a vacuum and the same propellants used by the ascent stage, there really is no way of knowing how bright something should be. After the LEM performs the pitch over, we do see a faint glow inside the combustion chamber. Why does it not appear as bright as the command modules? Most likely because the LEM ascent stage simply doesn't have an engine with the size and power as the command module. Also, please look carefully at the space around the command module and the lunar module. One shows space as completely black in color, while the other shows a very light gray color to space. Claiming that these two videos, filmed years apart and 250,000 miles away from each other with a completely different camera, are different is not an anomaly. It's expected. Before we get on to your videos of the lunar module's engine being tested in the atmosphere, I have one quick question and I'd like to see what you have to say about it. We watched the Apollo 17 lunar module ascent stage fly up into space for quite a long time, and the camera pans almost all the way up before the ascent stage flies off screen. Where are the cables? Where are the rigs? More importantly, where are any signs of anything that looks anything like a film set? I don't see them. Finally, carrying on to your videos of the lunar module exhaust in Earth's atmosphere, this is a similar situation with the Titan rocket.
To keep it simple, it used so-called hypergolic propellants, a rocket fuel and an oxidizer that explode on contact. There were no pumps and no igniter.
You seem to have overlooked one thing with these videos. These were filmed in an atmosphere. The moon doesn't have such an atmosphere. Again, you're simply seeing the surrounding gases catching on fire.